Guys,
Tickets must not
we are here.
with others.
I'm excited like a 4-year-old. This is Disneyland Shanghai. I'm the only Western person in this whole park. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't seen a single person that's not Chinese. But it's gonna be hype, dude. I'm so excited. It's freezing cold. I'm wearing 200 layers of clothes. But we're about to go in, okay? That's a Zootopia flower bouquet or whatever you want to call it. Guys, it's gonna be exciting, okay? So we're going in. I'll take you with me and give you a little bit of a tour of Shanghai Disneyland, all right? Let's see how it goes. So guys, we walked the Broadway. It's wild. It's not as long as in like other Disney parks, but here's what blows me away right now. The size of the Disney castle is truly on another level. This Disney castle is the biggest one I have ever seen in any Disney park. It's humongous. And I don't know, I mean, later probably I'm gonna try to go inside, maybe not right now. But it's just like, Jesus, man. It's the biggest castle in any Disney park I've ever seen. There's also a ginormous Christmas tree over there because tomorrow is Christmas, all right? So we're going in, guys. I can't wait, I'm hyped.
So guys, I thought as we're going into this video, I do a little bit of a voiceover. You could see in the beginning me holding the camera on my face and talking through that microphone really sounds awful. So to give a bit more context, explain some of the things, I thought it's helpful if I do a voiceover just to give you guys a bit of context of what we're looking at. Also, if you're interested in just some specific attractions that we might be going through, I will put timestamps and chapters into this video so you can check those. You know, if you just want to see, I don't know, the Zootopia attraction or the ride and stuff, specific rides, then please reference those chapters. But let me talk a little bit about this Disney castle, right? Because it literally is, not like I said before, the biggest one that I've ever seen in any park. And you can see it here. If you approach it and walk towards it, it almost feels like a real castle in terms of the size. You can't do much in it, you know, it's not that they have like a wide range of attractions inside of it, but you'll see as we're going into it right now, it really is breathtaking. Like the size of it, the scale is absolutely remarkable. And then what they do on the inside is they have like on the right hand side now, for example, you see a dedicated restaurant. So it's like a bit, I don't know how they call it, like the something luxury banquet hall or something. So it's a little bit of an upper class restaurant, but you can eat inside the Disney castle, which I think is quite unique. I hadn't seen this before, but again, correct me if that's wrong. But I mean, look at the staircase. Look at the people there walking inside on the staircase. And it's just breathtaking. So coming out of this castle, we visited Tomorrowland. Okay, and I mean, that is a thing. It's a classic Disney part of almost any park. Every park has like Tomorrowland, but it's slightly different here. It does include the Tron ride, which we're going to look at in a second, which is incredible and unique to this park. But it also had like an Avengers exhibition, okay? And be aware, Avengers and Star Wars are not big parts of the Asian or Chinese pop culture reference, like their world of pop culture. So all they had for the Avengers was like this exhibition space, basically a big room where they show some of the movie props, and they had all these Iron Man suits, built up and displayed, which is cool, but the room was completely empty. And really nobody, it feels like, in this market in China cares about the Avengers. But I did love the giant Hulkbuster structure and suit in the middle. Like, it was life-sized, really lovely detail and stuff. So that was really, really cool to look at. But again, nobody cared. It's just an empty space. Now what we're looking at is the Tron ride. It's again part of Tomorrowland, but it's unique. You find this ride, as far as I'm aware, in no other Disney park. And I mean, the structure itself is really fascinating and beautiful. They light it at night. So this whole organic structure you see here is lit. And basically what it is, it's a roller coaster where you're sitting in the position of a motorcycle. Okay, so you're sitting front forward, you'll see it in a minute, and you're riding through this kind of neon world. The ride itself is pretty short, all like very much aligned with like the Tron world you see in a second when we go inside, so you get an idea of the style and the world. It's freaking beautiful. Okay, they do such a good job of highlighting the edges of every single structure you see. And you see here, this is kind of a countdown moment. So you're sitting on your motorcycle. It's the beginning of the ride. You sit here and then it counts down like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then they boost you forward, as they do in other roller coasters. However, I have to say, it's not a crazy ride in terms, there are no loops or anything. It is fairly simple and not too rough on the stomach, if you know what I mean. So you can see here how you get ready, how you're kind of funneled into the ride. It's beautifully finished, as you're sitting on this motorcycle and they attach you with some kind of, it almost looks like a backpack. So they're folding this backpack onto you and that kind of holds you in place. So even you're in this motorcycle position, it feels really safe. Now, here you can see the parade. I think in this particular park, they did 3 parades on this day, which is also a little bit unusual, right? So every other hour, there's the parade again, and it's just the same one every single time, right? But as you see, people are loving it. I think it's an Asian market, Chinese market thing. Every time the parade would go through the park, people are lining up, which was great because it reduces the queues on all the other rides. So every time the parade was up again, you could just see on the app that the queues for every attraction were almost cut in half. Now, I want to start by talking about the Pirates area. Now, this is something I read about beforehand about this park, that they put a lot of emphasis on the Pirates area as a whole. And the Pirates of the Caribbean ride is allegedly, that's what I read beforehand, the best version of it that you can find. So I was very keen to explore this. And indeed, like walking through it, it's absolutely remarkable. It's huge, right? I don't know why, because I don't think Pirates of the Caribbean is particularly big or bigger in China than it would be in like an American or European market. But they really put crazy emphasis on it. So you have this open lake, and that's what it's built around. And you're going to see now, look at the structure. It's like a huge pirate castle with an incredible amount of detail. They have 2 different ships. This is one of them. The other one is a playground, right? It's like a stranded ship that's been shredded into pieces. And it's a playground with slides for smaller children. So as I was walking on the ship, I didn't really know what to expect. This is not a ride, right? This is just a set piece that you can walk onto. But the cool part about this is it is basically a perfect replica of a real movie prop pirate ship, right? I don't want to say it's a replica of a real pirate ship because I don't think pirate ships looked like that. But it's a great replica of what you would imagine a ship to look in the Pirates of the Caribbean universe. So you can go everywhere. You can go into the cabin. You can see the treasure in front here on this table. You see a map that you can spin. It's made out of 3 spinning layers. You have like the cutlass, swords, and the rifles. Now coming into this room, there's like treasure and this picture frame. And it said something like, only real pirates will trigger the picture frame. So if you would stand there, the picture frame would start talking to you. You go up on deck, you have like the steering wheel of the ship. It doesn't do anything, but it gives you like nice photo ops and just like a real cool sensation of being on a real beautiful pirate ship. And then plus little decorative pieces like the captain's cabin here, for example. You can't go into it. This is as much as you can see, really. But again, great amount of detail there, a lot to explore, to wander around. And on the other end of the top deck, they had these lines that you like, little ropes, you can pull them and they move the flags that you see up there between the masts, right? So loads of little engaging touch points for kids to have fun with and to explore. And then also the view, across the lake with the other ships. That's the playground, by the way, that you see there in front of us, and the Disney castle in the distance. And then you can also go under deck, right? And under deck you have a little workshop and you have a kitchen and again a picture frame of like with Jack Sparrow that talks to you. And again, I love this kind of stuff, right? I just love to explore these set pieces with my eye. You see the bunk beds there and little treasure chests and barrels full with grog or rum and stuff. And it's just, and also it wasn't too busy. As you can see here, it's not like crammed. You can freely walk around on it and explore it, take pictures and all that. So I love this, right? This was like a great introduction to like the world of the Pirates of the Caribbean. And again, like just such a beautiful set piece. It was so much fun to explore this. You see, you can go into jail and you see the other jail cell. I don't think you can see it. There's a jail cell next to it with a skeleton in it. So you can have fun with that. Then as you come out of it, they built a whole pirate village. Okay, it is literally what you would imagine I don't know, something from the Sea of Thieves universe or something, how you would imagine that to look. And again, it's huge, it's big, you can walk around in it, there are small shops that you can explore. It feels like a pirate harbor, right? Like a harbor town. And you see, that's part of it, right? You walk through these little alleyways and you can just explore all the little details with your eye. And it's so much fun and they put so much emphasis in it. And that's not even the ride. Right? We're going to get into the ride in a minute, but it's just absolutely gorgeous and like remarkable how much detail they put into this part of the park. So that already blew me away. You see the queue in front of us now. That's people queuing for the pirate restaurant, right? There is like a big pirate restaurant, but it was very busy and I think this was around lunchtime. So I didn't want to queue for that. So now we are going into the actual ride. And I said it before, I did some research about this park beforehand and everyone said the Pirates of the Caribbean ride is the best version of all the parks. And I didn't know what to expect because I did the one in LA, right, in Disneyland. I did the one in Paris, at Disneyland Paris. And those are very much based on animatronics, right? You drive around in your little float, you look left and right, and it's just cool animatronics that tell the story, and it's like a big pirate ship that shoots cannons, and there's a bit of water splashing, but it doesn't really go beyond that. So I didn't know what to expect. You can kind of see here how we're entering the boat. I don't recall how it was in the other parks, but they definitely built this thing at a huge scale. Okay, so these boats hold a lot of people and this park is very well organized. So they funnel a lot of people through this park and these attractions very quickly, which leads to fairly short waiting times in the queues. So as you start the ride, what we're doing here now is the first thing is you see the restaurant, right? So this is the other end of the queue, basically, that you just saw. And you can sit there, and this was funny because you drive through it and it very much smells like Chinese food because obviously they're selling, whatever, dumplings. Obviously everything is pirate themed, but it is Chinese food. So you get all these typical flavors of the herbs and spices that they use. Once you drive past that, I was getting a bit worried because it's like, okay, look at this. Like, this is just like the other rides, right? This is like a typical Disney Pirates of the Caribbean experience. Yeah, beautiful set pieces, incredible level of detail, really nice to look at, but it's not more than that. Like a bunch of animatronics and treasure and pirate stuff. And I was wondering, what's everyone on about, right? Like, what are people referring to when they say this is the best version of Pirates? I missed this Jack Sparrow figure because they did some kind of Pepper's Ghost effect where it manifested out of nothing. I think first he was a skeleton, then there was like blue mist and he turned into Jack Sparrow. I didn't capture that, real shame, really cool effect. But so he talks fluent Chinese, funny enough. But then they're getting into the actual attraction and holy moly. So what you see here is you're in a room, you're still in your float on the water, right? But this is a 360-degree screen that covers your full vision. It is insane how immersive it is. You literally feel like you're underwater and you wonder why you can breathe. You see this huge kraken. It feels like it's floating above your head. Unfortunately, this video doesn't do it justice, right? Like, the scale of this was absolutely insane. And now they're merging it with real set pieces. So now you're driving into this real wreck of a ship and you can see, through these old beams, everything feels like you're underwater. You can see the screen behind it and the kraken swimming behind it, and they're merging this giant projection screen that's really larger than life, the biggest I've ever seen, merging that with these real set pieces. So that blew me away. And I was like, Jesus Christ, I had never seen anything like this. And again, unfortunately, this doesn't really do it justice, right? When you're there, it's mind-blowing. Beautiful projection pieces, that you see there on the left. They're merging all that like to a level. It's unprecedented. Honestly, I hadn't seen this at all anywhere else in any of the Disney rides, to be honest. these ones were talking to you, right? Like, and this was stuff we've seen before, where you have like figures that have a head, and then they project a face onto the head, and it brings it to life. But again, at this point, still you're feeling like you're underwater, right? And my brain, I really caught myself thinking, how come I can breathe? I mean, obviously in your head it's rational why, but still they do it so well. They really trick your mind into thinking you're being underwater. And again, a little bit of the typical stuff that you see here, animatronics, loads of treasure, stuff that you would expect from a pirate's ride. But again, everything is done to a really, really high standard and extremely beautiful, but we're not done. The main piece is still to come. Okay, so again, check out this animatronic, right? Like how cool that looks. And it's also so funny to see all these characters speaking fluent Chinese, and I didn't understand a single word as I drove through this. And now, holy shit, like check this out. So you're in the belly of the ship, this curtain opens, it's another 360-degree screen. So as you're entering this space, it feels like this is in front of you. It fills your whole sight. Do you know what I mean? And now look, we're going to the surface. Like you could feel this in your stomach because the projection is so big, you just feel like you're physically going from the bottom of the sea up to the surface level of the sea. And this illusion, it was unbelievable. I had never seen anything like this. And again, look how they're merging these real set pieces together with the projection behind it. And because the projection is so big, it feels almost like you're looking at real water. You're looking at a real sea battle that's happening right in front of you. And then like cannonballs hit the water in front of you. So the real water splashes. And they do a lot of effort of blending this kind of real world stuff with these huge projection pieces. And it works really, really well, right? So then you drive through it. At this point, you're kind of going backwards, and they have a little Jack Sparrow fighting scene there, which was kind of fun and entertaining. Also, again, really, really well done, how it all blends together. You'll see in a minute, the whole space gets flooded, right? The water comes in, and check how the water matches almost the color of the real water. So loads of small details like that just maximize the immersion as you're going through it. I swear to God, like it blew my mind. The immersion of this place, Jesus Christ. And coming out of it, I got it. I was like, okay, I understand why everyone's talking about this being the best Pirates ride or the best version of this ride that you can find. Because it's so well done. And again, Jack Sparrow speaking perfect Chinese. It's a funny thing, but this is the end of the ride. So you're coming out of it and being released back into this kind of pirate world. And then what they do is, as you walk out of the pirate world, they're seamlessly blending it into this adventure kind of world. I don't recall how they called it, Adventure Zone or something. They had a name for it. So I wanted to do a ride there. And they have this rafting ride that you find in loads of parks. It's called the Roaring Rapids. You can see it here. And I thought I'd show you guys. This is obviously much less special than maybe the Pirates ride we just looked at, but still a lot of fun, extremely well done, well managed. Now, this was a very cold day. I said in the beginning I was wearing 20 layers just to stay warm. So I was a bit hesitant. Look at the detail of this compass there on the ceiling. Really beautiful. So I was a bit hesitant because everyone was buying ponchos, like plastic ponchos. You'll probably see them on everyone going into these rafts. But I didn't have money on me, okay? Like my wife, it doesn't matter. It's a long story why I didn't have money, but I couldn't buy a poncho. So I was like, damn, am I going to get completely wet and soaked in this ride? Not having a poncho because, again, it's like close to 0 degrees. You don't want to get soaked. But it was fine. Same as the Tron ride. I felt like, having done rides like this in other parks, I felt like they made it quite tame, right? The little falls that you see here now, you see how you're slowing down? You're not even going down at full speed. Now, my theory on this is that they're doing this because it's basically a Chinese market thing. Probably they did the research and Chinese audiences are just not as comfortable with these rides being like fully to the max, right? That stomach turning roller coasters and stuff. It's all a bit more tame. It's all a bit more relaxed and a bit easier. Like even this big drop here, you see there's no splashing. As we go down, there's no splashing, right? So it's fun and it's beautifully done, but it is a bit more tame than other maybe comparable rides that you may find. And again, like just look at this landscape. Like it's just beautiful, right? The whole thing is finished absolutely to the Disney standard as you would find it in any other park, really. So this, I thought I'll include this anyway, is the Peter Pan ride. Okay, I didn't want to go, but my wife went into it with my little daughter, and she was like, you got to check it out. It's actually really cool. And it is really cool. It's not long, but it tells the whole Peter Pan story from beginning to end. So again, like a bunch of nice animatronics. I don't think this is a very new ride. It feels a little bit dated, but still like you're flying into this pirate ship. And I apologize for the darkness. This is the best that my phone could capture. But you know, as you're flying over London here, you can see London Bridge down there, and it's a beautiful little miniature version. You really have the feeling that you're under an open sky, flying over this cartoon version of London. These projections on the screen, look how they cast the shadow against the moon and stuff. Loads of small little details that are just really beautifully considered. But I would say a ride like this, you know, like Neverland that you see here, a ride like this is less unique. Okay, you might find a ride like this in other theme parks or even in a Disney park. It's beautifully done, as you would expect it to be from a park from Disney at this level of quality. But by no means is the Peter Pan ride something where I'd be like, oh my God, you know, that's worth visiting the park on its own. It was fun, it was great, beautifully executed and well done, but not extremely unique. But I enjoyed it nonetheless. Lots of small details, like you see here, Tinkerbell in that little lamp, and here, you know, the projection of Hook coming from the side, attacking Peter Pan and stuff. So again, beautiful storytelling devices, the whole thing. Yeah, really coherent and a beautiful vision behind it, beautifully executed. And I can see why my wife loved it and recommended it. And I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I did this ride as well. Just because, I don't know, again, so many small details. And I am a Peter Pan fan. You know, I love the Hook movie. I love the original cartoon. I love the whole story of Peter Pan. And, you know, never growing up and all that. So I loved it. Okay, so that was another ride. And I thought I'd just share this with you guys and give you a little bit of context. And then in the end, you know, everyone's there and it's like they beat Hook and it's kind of the end of the story. There's a beautiful conclusion to it. And these animatronics, again, they do look a little bit dated. And later on in the video, once we come to the Zootopia attraction, I put this in the end of the video. Dude, man, there are some next level animatronics in this park. They blow your mind, right? But we'll get to that at a later point. So you end up in London again, right? There's St. Paul's, and for me, as someone who lives in London, you know, that was a beautiful little detail there. And then it ends the park, and you can see it here, right? You're riding in these ships. So this, what we're looking at now, basically is just a small village. I don't recall if it had like a specific name, but it's really reminiscent of like small German villages, and it's right next to the castle. So I thought I'd just share this walk with you as you walk past these. And on the right-hand side, there are mostly restaurants and shops in these small houses. And I think what these walks show quite well is that the park is designed in a way that it's really spacious. If you, for example, look at, I don't know, Disneyland Tokyo or even the original Disneyland in Anaheim, it's all pretty tight because they don't have a lot of space to go on. So the walkways are tight and the whole audience feels like it's cramped onto a very tight space. That's not the case here. They have a lot of space, you know, around the park to develop it, to make it bigger, and they use it. Now, what you're looking at here now is the queue for the new Zootopia ride. And check this out. This is half of the queue. You're going to see in a second another group, and this is the other end of the queue. So on the right-hand side, this is the end of the queue. So you have to go through 4 rooms that are filled like this. I think we queued about 1.5 hours for this ride. So it just opened a month ago, and it's absolutely incredible. Honestly, they're pushing every edge in this part of the park that they can. It's remarkable. So it's based, I think, on the second Zootopia movie. I have to be honest with you, I haven't watched it. So a lot of the references that we're going to look at now escaped me. But the amount of detail, like I hated to queue in a freaking white tent for 2 hours or 1.5 hours. It sucked. And then when you're inside, this is just to get into this area that you're looking at now. And then there's a ride, a Zootopia ride. You need to queue another 1.5 hours for that one as well. Okay, so that sucked. But I'm gonna tell you, it was worth it, okay? The amount of detail and love to detail that they put into this area was just mind-blowing. Everywhere you were looking, you had little details that you could discover, little... You'll see in a second. I'll give you a few examples that I put into this video. It really is a feast for the eye, right? You're walking around and every little thing is considered and finished to a standard that I had never seen before. The only thing I can compare it to that blew me away as like a 12-year-old child when it opened was Toontown. Toontown in Anaheim, in the original Disneyland. That blew me away. But look, I mean, this is a car for giraffes that you see here, right? And apparently what is a thing in this Zootopia movie, and there's the police station, which is in the movie. So apparently what's a thing in the movie is that it's Zootopia, so there are different types of animals. There are small animals, like hamsters and stuff. And then there are medium-sized animals like the fox and whatever this other creature is, that's one of the main characters. And then there are big animals like elephants and giraffes and rhinos and stuff. So they take this idea of this world having to exist for different sizes of animals, and they break that down in a lot of detail across the whole park, okay, or across the whole section of the Zootopia part of the park. You find a guitar shop that sells guitars at 3 different sizes. There are guitars for hamsters, and then there are medium, normal-sized guitars, and then there are giant guitars for elephants, and you'll see in a minute. I give you a few examples. But again, it's basically a big L shape, right? So you're walking into it, and you have this kind of Broadway light installation you saw there a second ago, and then you have that part here on the left-hand side. The frozen house is where the polar bear lives, and then there is the giraffe that you see in the distance in a gym, right? So it's on a treadmill and exercising. And again, it's just like everywhere you look, it is a stunning amount of detail. I had never seen anything like this in any Disney park, right? It really blew my mind. The moment I was in there, I was like, okay, I'm so happy I queued for this. It took forever to get in, but it was so worth it. Just the level of finish and quality and details that you see here, my God. And forgive me, because again, it can't really be conveyed in a video like this. If you are there yourself and you're completely immersed and surrounded by this world, it is a different ball game. Honestly, I like when you see little details like this, like Pig Hero 6, and I mean, just look at the stunning detail and the illusion of depth there, that you really feel like, you're in the front on this big square, but there's a much bigger city behind it. Here, the train station and people or like animals walking left and right. At some point, there was a train going by. I didn't capture that, unfortunately. You can take your photo with the 2 main characters and stuff, and people love this, People in China, they're obsessed with the kind of stuff. I didn't queue for it. I don't need a photo with a rabbit and a fox, but people love it and having a lot of fun. And this is the kind of stuff that I mean. So as you're walking around, you have these little shops. And this shop, I swear to God, I don't know even how they do this. It smelled like flowers. The flowers out front, I mean, this is behind a glass wall, right? But the flowers out front weren't even real. But the shop somehow, as you approach it, still smelled like flowers, like it's little details like that. Here's the guitar and music shop, right? So there's a little drum set on the right-hand side and like small guitars that they're selling, small saxophones on the left-hand side there for like the hamster-sized animals. Forgive me, I filmed this at like accidentally at slow motion, but this is a sheep barbershop. So they take the sheep hair, color it, and then turn it into cloth on the right-hand side there. So the small shop tells a whole story. This is a traffic light on the bottom for the hamsters. Then in the middle level for the fox, rabbit kind of mid-sized animals. And then on the top, you get a separate traffic light for the big animals, right? So it's just remarkable to what length they are going to think about every single detail in this area. It blew my mind. So then, obviously, I made it in. I had to do the ride, okay? There is no way. I knew I had to queue another hour, an hour and a half to do this ride, hoping it's not in a big white tent, as the other queue was. So I approached this Zootopia police station, right? And I thought, well, it looks like you can go into it. And you can, but it's part of the queue. It's the queue for the ride. And again, this opened a month ago, so it's brand new. So as you're queuing through the entrance hall of this police station, there is this animatronic, one of the characters from the movie, right? And dude, the way it moves is just stunning. The level of detail they have, like the way they bring to life these cartoon characters, these animated characters into the motion, in the light. You can still see it's an animatronic, right? But it gets really to a point where it's so well done that you're wondering, like, is it even a guy in a suit? I mean, the truth is these were huge. You can kind of see a little bit of people there in the front, like their hats and stuff for proportion, for the scale. So they are massive, these animatronics. But like the amount of detail, remarkable. And notice the little donut sprinkles that he has on his tie, right? So he just took a bite of that donut that's on his front counter there, and all the sprinkles fell on his tie, and he kind of messed himself up and he doesn't notice it. So again, beautiful little details. And, you know, as you're waiting, he talks to you, and apparently he already kind of introduces you to this idea that it's a police station, right? So there are some escapees. There's a prison, and some prisoners have escaped, right? So, and then also look at this, like the Lucky Chomp cereals, the bowl of the cereals. All of this is oversized, right? These are huge props, and this is the whole room, so you can get an idea from the other angle. But beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So then you're queuing into the police station. That's kind of the entrance hall. And, you know, there are all the employees, and each employee has like a great funny name that ties to whether it's a polar bear and where they're coming from. So you're waiting in the queue, and it's really fun. The wanted posters and all that stuff is really fun to explore. So again, this was an incredible queue to wait in. Unfortunately, they really push you through. I would have loved to film this kind of stuff a bit more, because there's beautiful detail in all these offices that you see here, the police offices, the cubicles. But they really push you through, right? They're like, keep moving, it's a queue. So then you're going into the prison. And again, such a shame. I would have loved to spend like just 20 minutes in this prison to explore the detail. All these prison cells, they are actually made from steel. You know, it feels literally like a real prison in terms of the materials. But then the details in the cells, and again, unfortunately, this video does not do it justice because you get rushed through it. But when you stand there and you look at it, there are so many small, beautiful details that you just really love to explore with your eye. Like up here, right, the illusion of there being 2 floors in the prison, and then the little eyes that glow in the dark in some of the prison cells. It is done so well. So then from the prison, in the end of it, you discover the escapee room. You can see they hammered a door or hole there into the wall. The hammer is still there, and they clearly escaped. And you can see the book there with the escape plan and all that. So now it is your job to bring them back. And that's where they are leading the queue narrative, right? Which is you go through the jail, you see that they've escaped, and now you have to bring them back. So the whole ride, including the queue, is one big story. Right, you're being introduced in the beginning in the hall, then you learn they've escaped. Now you're being briefed by this other incredible animatronic. Just look at it. The way it moves, the way it's done, absolutely stunning. Blew my mind the level they're going here. So this guy briefs you now and tells you, you got to go out there, catch the guys. These prisoners have escaped. It is now your job to deal with that. Okay, so preparing you basically for the ride. But again, just look at it. And this guy is huge. He's humongous. So in a second, you're going to see here some people on the left. Look how small the people are in comparison to him, right? Massive animatronics, but just stunning. Absolutely stunning. I think these were the best animatronics that I've ever seen firsthand. I had seen videos of Disney animatronics that were great, but this is stuff I had seen with my own eyes. Blew myself away. So as you're waiting to get into the ride, they have this ready room, right? So all the props are there. There are batons and whatever, suits and a map, so you can kind of plan your ride and stuff. Again, stunning detail. Now we're going into the actual ride. And I didn't know what to expect. Again, this opened like a month or 2 ago. It's a brand new ride. But dude, it was incredible. You'll see in a minute what I mean. And it still has like some problems because it's a new ride. You see these characters don't start talking now. They're just waiting. They're kind of frozen for like 5-6 seconds in the beginning. And that's obviously because they have to wait for the other people to move through the ride. So then they can start talking. And you'll see another example of that as we go through it in the end. So you go through this, right? In the beginning, it's all very physical, right? So you're going through this physical world. It's beautifully crafted, you know, with all these machines and the smoke, and you kind of see the escapees running away and you're chasing after them. Note that you're not on rails, right? They're doing the same thing here. I think it's inspired from the Star Wars ride, where you're in these cars that kind of move in 360, right? So sometimes you go backwards, sometimes you go forwards, and the car rotates around its own axis as you're going through it. So it's fairly, I would say fairly new. I had never seen it before or experienced it myself. I knew that they're doing it at the Star Wars ride in the other park, but I had never seen it myself. So it works really well. They kind of put you through this. And at that point I was like, oh yeah, okay, that's okay, but it's not great, right? It's like a bit like a cinema screen where they show you kind of, you know, the escapees racing around, some of the police chasing after them. Again, then you turn around, you see the cityscape with beautiful animatronics, and it really feels lively. All the animals walking on top of the bridge there, and it really feels like they're bringing this cityscape to life in a beautiful way. And now there was a part that kind of confused me. Do you see these, like, they're in suggestive poses. There's like a hippo and an elephant in like kind of sexually suggestive poses, which really confused me. I was like, what is that about? Maybe it's a reference to the movie, and I haven't seen it, so maybe leave that down in the comments if you have the context for that. But it confused me slightly. Now also look at these two characters on the left-hand side. They really felt 3D. As you drive past them, it didn't feel like a flat projection on a piece of glass or some mirrored reflection. They did feel like real 3D holograms almost. I know they are not, but the illusion was there. And I guess they move you really quickly past them so you don't get a too close look at them, right? But because it works if you just go past them. So then they put you into this, I don't know how to call it, like a little basket. So you're hanging off this rope, and then you're falling off the rope. And this is where the immersion really starts to hit, because it's like a 360 projection around you, and you're falling off the rope. And you know, you can see it here. You're hanging, and the whole thing shakes a little bit. So that was great. Like, that was the first moment where I was like, oh, okay, I see what they're doing here. It's like a beautiful immersive piece that really sucks you into it, but it's not done. The main part is still to come in the end of it. Again, another nice piece here, the projection of the sloth coming in. A favorite character from the first movie, at least. Love that guy. So he's, I don't know, he's a bit like a James Bond vibe I got from him here. But then you come out and now they're doing the same thing as they do with the Pirates ride. This is a 360-degree screen, and going through this tunnel felt like you are racing through the city. It's hard to describe, but think it's like VR, but without the glasses, because they have a screen that is so big that it really feels like you are in this world. You're driving through this town, chasing after these escapees. The immersion, and it even made your stomach turn, right? You're like, my God, you can feel the speed in your stomach as you're going through it. So again, this is something I had not seen in any other Disney park, these big 360 projections. Incredible. It worked so well. And even you saw it now, it's just a short part of the ride, right? It's like less than a minute, like 20, 30 seconds that you're actually in this big projection space. Again, check this animatronic, like unbelievable. But it worked, right? The whole ride worked really well. Coming out of it, I was like, okay, it was well worth it to see it, to queue up for it. And this is kind of the end of the ride. And there's a funny part here as well, because you can see on the right-hand side, this is the part where these cars that you're sitting on that, again, don't drive on wheels, where they stop, right? You can see people are getting off, people are kind of being pushed out of it. So this is a moment where you have to wait, right? So obviously they put this little scene in front of you while you have to wait for the other cars to move, with the rabbit and the fox talking. Again, fluent Chinese. I don't understand a single word. So you're waiting, right? And it's like they keep talking, and they keep talking. And then at some point, it was like, I mean, at this point, I was already like, they just say the same things, right? Like, this is just kind of a loop. But what was interesting is, at some point, they literally ran out of things to say. And I think it comes back to the beginning, right? These are little errors. They still have to fix the timing. They have to get the timing right in the ride. So you see, now they're still talking, but you'll see in a second. That's why I left this segment in, like the whole segment, because you wait here pretty long for the other cars to move. And it feels like they're just repeating themselves. And then at some point, like I said, they run out of things to say and they just look at each other. And that was a bit awkward. It's like, okay, you see now they're looking at each other and they look at you. And then they look at each other and then they look at you again. And you're just like, okay, what's happening right now? You know? So it's funny because it's such a new ride. I think these are small errors that they still have to fix, where these animatronics are now in some kind of loop before you actually move. I don't think most people notice this, but you know, as someone like me who really pays a lot of attention to these details, it was funny. But by no means did it make the ride less immersive, right? It was still incredible. So then you're coming back out into the Zootopia world, and again, it is such a coherent experience. The ride, the world, you can just see a lot of people thought a lot about it and put it together in a way. It is absolutely stunning. So there's the shop, and I wanted to put this in here because it's funny. The woman is like, no, you can't go in here. Please use the entrance on the other side. So I was like, all right then. Not that I wanted to buy anything, but I wanted to see the shop, right? The Zootopia shop, what they offer. Maybe they would have had a cool t-shirt as a memorabilia or something. I would have taken that with me. So I'm going to the other side. And I'm like, okay, here's the entrance. Let me go into the shop, right? Let me check out the shop. Trying to go in. It's like, no, hold on. There are people blocking my way. Why can I not go in? Because there is a queue for the shop. People are queuing up to go into this shop. I mean, it was a short queue. It's probably like a 5-minute wait, but still, I was like, no, I'm not doing that, bro. I'm not lining up to walk into a Zootopia shop and spend my money. That's so stupid. So here's a house for giraffes. I love that, right? Like right next to the giraffe, we saw it earlier, that's doing exercise on the treadmill. That's on the right-hand side here. And then if you look closely under the giraffe, small details, like there's a mouse, right, running in a wheel. And you really have to go close to not miss it. And I'm sure I missed so many details in this space. Like small doors, again, like everything is at these 3 scales, right? Small, medium, and large. Beautiful. But then it was kind of going to the end of the day and the fireworks started. They, at least in Disneyland Shanghai, they do a huge firework every day. Last time I visited the park in Paris, they didn't do it, but that might have been a COVID restriction at the time, so I'm not sure. But here they do actually 2 fireworks. They do 2 firework sessions. This is the first one. It happens at 8, and then they do another one at 9:15. And they do a lot of projection as well. So I try to capture it here, but obviously anywhere you point the camera, the fireworks are always right behind you. Okay, so you never get like a really good shot of the firework. And I love that this kind of looks like they're bombing us with like white phosphorus or something. It's still beautiful and stunning, but like, I was like, damn, is it World War III? What's going on here? Anyway, so then we left this area. And at that point it's dark and they're lighting this giant Disney castle in just like such a stunning way. So I know that there are some fans of you out there who just love this kind of stuff, the details of the Disney castle. So I thought I'd give you guys a little bit of a detailed view of the castle in this beautiful pink and blue lighting. Because what I didn't know is that they projection map the whole castle. So then at some point they cordon it off. You can't go into the castle anymore. And then this is around 9 o'clock in the evening, 9:15. They start this projection map show where like music is perfectly synchronized with the projection, and there are water fountains on top of it, you know, and then like in front of the castle, and then left and right they have loads of these massive spotlights that light into the sky so they can make these grid patterns above it. Absolutely stunning as well. And here they did a few more references in these projections to other franchises you don't see. Didn't see Star Wars, but there was a bit of like a segment of like Captain America, and look how they do the little arch, the light arch over the castle. As you see it in the Disney logo, they try to emulate that. They had like an element or like a segment of, what was it called? The Lion King in there, right? Like a little scene of Simba, the original movie, the hand-drawn one. So these were the only references here that I really saw to the Avengers and to movies like The Lion King. Nothing else referenced that in the whole park as far as I could see. I guess it's just not very, very popular with these audiences. But again, like this was stunning. I mean, this is just the beginning, so it's probably less stunning for you, but you're gonna see the end of it now. They are going all out, and the music and the fireworks and everything was so well synchronized. Literally, to the beat of the music, each single firework would be coming out. And again, obviously I can't play this for you because it would like instantly demonetize the video, but the show they are putting on is just like, my God, it's on a different level. I had seen the fireworks, well, it's okay, it's admittedly many years ago, in Anaheim, but it was nowhere close to what we saw here. So guys, that's basically it. I hope you enjoyed this little breakdown. I'm sorry we're looking at like a black screen now, but I hope you enjoyed this little breakdown. If you did, then please smash the like button on the video, subscribe to the channel. If you want to talk about it or ask me some questions about the park, get some advice, you can join our Discord. The link to that is down in the description. I'd be happy to talk to you about my experience in the park. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, please let me know down in the comments. I'd be more than happy to answer them. And if I'm a little bit sorry for the audio and all that, because I literally recorded and edited this whole thing on an iPhone in iMovie. So I think for that, it's probably not too bad. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.